exactly the definition that we are going to use here for spirit guide. And I want to give you that definition because there are too many different expressions throughout the world, and that's why I was, and I am, so interested in seeing what expressions you are going to share with me. Laura, please take note of all the expressions that our friends here shared with me, please, okay? Because sometimes when we are traveling, we are in a different culture, we need to relate to the people by using expressions they are familiar with. And when I am like in a session or answering a question, I see that people sometimes, they refer to a common expression. Let's say we are going to stick to spirit guides. It's just more known, that's why I used it. But they mean slightly different things. And if we are going here to discuss about these consciousnesses, these spirits, these beings who are in between lives, who are in the spiritual world, and they support us, we need to have a common language, whatever name we use, so we need to know we are talking about the same thing. For example, sometimes people would use expressions to refer to these spirit guides as like angels, for example. And when they explain what they mean, and I hear and I say, that is a spirit guide. But according to my definition, but in their minds, what happens that is different? It is as if those consciousnesses who are acting as spirit guides, they were from a totally different line of evolution. Now, we need to discuss here some philosophical aspects, because if we are going to try and understand about this, we need to examine many conscious out-of-body experiences, the account of many people, and with all of that in mind, and checking how many different types of entities, spirits, beings could get close to us in different moments throughout the day, we will then, with all of that in mind, be able to classify how many different types of non-physical beings exist. How do they manifest? How do they get close to us? And when we say spirit guides, who are we referring to? So, to give you my definition, okay? Because that's what I'm going to be explaining here. And I have just a quick talk and I will answer your questions. But in my definition, these spirit guides are consciousnesses that are in between lives, because we are talking about a spirit, but they have a level of awareness. They have a level of understanding, of capacity, of embracing reality that is remarkable. And they have a high level of principles, like cosmoethics. Why is that so? Because for them to be guiding us, they need to know a lot about who we are. But not only now in this life, our identity here, Nancy or any of you who are there with me. They need to know who we are in terms of what are the traits that we have, even from past lives. There are traits that we have perhaps created situations that were not positive. And now in this life, the idea would be that we don't go towards that direction, because most probably we will just repeat a trait of personality that is not going to be productive for our growth, for our evolution. So they need to know that. But they also need to know some of the characteristics that are super positive, and they are tools that we have to use. Why they need to know this? Because that's what they are going to use to inspire us in different directions, in different possibilities for us here in this lifetime. Also, they need to have a very good idea, better than us, of what is it that we committed with ourselves to do in this lifetime. A little bit of this notion of life mission. I prefer calling it like a life plan. We make a plan of what is it that we would like to learn, to establish, to accomplish. We want to help the world. How? How could we? What is the best strategy? And then we come here. We forget most of it, not all of it. So sometimes we just have a faint intuition and we cannot pinpoint exactly. So these consciousnesses that I am referring to here as spirit guides, they will support us in the direction that is more favorable to our evolution, to our growth. When we grow within, we get in better conditions to the spirit world when we return after the biological death. And the more we grow, the more we spread peace and calm, the more we'll be able to go further, many steps ahead, and help the world better, which is harder and harder to do. But still, there's got to be ways. But it's on us to put that into action, to decide what we are going to do, because that's how we build traits that are going to be fundamental for our personality in a sense of as consciousness, the traits that we carry from one life to another. So these guides that I'm talking about are consciousness who are well developed, not just a friend. They are friends, of course, but they are more than just a friend. They are very well informed friends. Also, they are friends who use high standards of ethics and principles. Therefore, they won't interfere with our decisions. They may support if we need, but interfering, creating problems, pushing us to from one direction to another, this is not exactly a friend that respects us. And it's part of what we have to do in this life, to learn and to be truthful to who we are most of the times when there are things that we end up not accomplishing. It's because there is that intuition inside of us of what is it that we have to do, and we end up not putting full attention into that. Anyways, I'm referring to this because one of the important things that these spirit guides do is supporting us to accomplish what we have committed with ourselves we would do, and is within our capacity, so that we have peace of mind later on. We have peace of mind and we feel good about ourselves and our lives when we pass away. So it's a vision that it's much broader than just helping us to find a parking slot, which I'm not saying doesn't help, but I'm saying the vision in their minds, it's bigger. They have that very ample vision. That's why they are super lucid beings. Throughout evolution, we gain lucidity. So we get to the point, if we are not yet, of also helping others when we are in between lives. This is part of evolution. But there is a complete model of study, a complete research model behind what I'm telling you. I do not have time to share this with you here. This is part of what we share in the Consciousness Development Program. But I brought some images and some ideas from the Consciousness Development Program to here so that I can share with you and we can go deep. I asked IAC full authorization, but some concepts are super important. So what I'm trying to say is that this term, spirit guides, what we prefer to use is spiritual mentor. Just because the word mentor implies a little bit more this person who is there to know what's the best, to support, to give us ideas, to give us wisdom, but to respect when we are not acting as they think would be ideal, and will be there to respect our limitations and to respect our decisions. So that is who we are going to talk about in this specific live talk. Sometimes, so far so good. Let me see here if so far so good. Hold your questions for a moment. I want to give you a broad vision so that questions go to experiences you have had and things that you need me to answer that are important to you, and that is the opportunity. But so far, you are hearing me well. Everything is good. For me, the volume is good. The volume should be okay, guys, because I am using a very good microphone. And but I hope it is working well. So, going back here to the idea. Excuse me for a moment, please. When we have somebody who is with us from the spiritual point of view, an entity, a spirit who accompanies us because they like us. They like us from things we have done together in previous lives or things we have done in this lifetime and they just departed before, sooner than we did. So that is lovely, and they do offer support, but that is not identical to the support of someone who have a broader vision. Why that is not identical? Let me explain to you why. Because sometimes these consciousness that sometimes we like calling blind guides, because they try to help, they are like guides, but they do not know what is our life mission. They do not know many important things about ourselves and our past lives. So they guide us according to what they think is important and what they think we should do. So then it becomes exactly like a friend who is very nice with us if we are doing things that are according to what they think is important or we should do. But if you decide, for example, that you are no longer, suppose a friend here, you are no longer go to the meetings every Friday and you wish to do a different course, you want to study something different, you no longer fancy drinking every weekend, whatever, or whatever it is. Then that friend may get mad at you, may try and convince you, and please come, oh, you cannot do that. So that friend helped you many times, but do not have the level of unbiased principles as those that I'm talking here about, that I'm calling spirit guides. So we have many different types of help. Spirit guides are those who are very lucid and conscious outside the body. By the way, let me make a parenthesis here. Thanks so much for all of you who are there with me live. I will answer your questions. And I am recording this in a separate device so that later on I can upload without all of these problems we are having here. So if you are here with me live, so that is very nice. But for others, I will not publish this one. I will publish the edited version. Otherwise, this will be a nightmare for everyone who is here with us. So far, so good, right? So then we have a definition of what I mean by spirit guides. And if you allow me, I'm going to refer to them as spiritual mentors. Is that okay? But same concept. Or the definition is the same, no matter what's the name we use. And within this definition, I would like to give you some examples of things that they do and what sort of action we can perform or exercise to connect better with them. Because sometimes we think that we are lonely. We feel we are in a difficult phase of life and we want support. And in this moment, when we know the spiritual life exists, we tend to, oh, please help me. Oh, let me sense you. Oh, please give me a sign. And if we are in a, how would I say it, producing a type of information that's too dissonant, sometimes these mentors, spiritual mentors or spirit guides, they will be there trying to connect with us. Trying, it's not like they don't care, they care, they're trying. But we are so much focused on our own bubble, on the bubble with the type of energy we have created for ourselves based on what was in our mind before. And because of being that bubble, they cannot get close. They cannot connect with us. What may happen in a case like this is that we end up connecting with others who will take advantage of the energy field that we created, that I just refer to as a bubble. But they take some people, some consciousnesses, spirits, not these mentors, not these guides, with other level of ethics. They may take advantage to get close to us. So that is very complex because we are not perfect within. We are growing, we are evolving. The more we evolve, the better we feel inside. The more we can be balanced and spread through love. But we are not there yet. When we get there, we will have such a clear vision of the world, not only of the politics, of all of the dimensions, of the context of all of these, like in these phenomena that people call like enlightenment or cosmic consciousness, when they feel they are one with the universe and they can understand everything, and everything is understood and forgiven, and it's only peace. Well, one day we have to evolve enough to get there, but we are not there. So what are the traits that we have that we may not be fully conscious of them, that may end up creating a certain type of energy field around of us, which may end up attracting or allowing some types of entities, consciousnesses, to get close to us? We have to be aware of that, because when we want to sense a true spiritual mentor, spirit guide, we need to recognize the type of reaction we have, the type of effect their energies, their presence give to us. It's not only one idea or a few words that are beautiful words. Someone can say beautiful words and inside be someone with very low ethics. So the point is, when one of these spiritual mentors get close to us and we connect, we feel hope, but a peaceful, serene hope. We feel there are ways. We feel empowered. We feel strong to do whatever is it that we want to do, that we have to do. We feel empowered to pursue accomplishing our life plan, life mission, whatever it is that we determined was important. So it's a commitment of us with ourselves, which sometimes are the most important ones. So in this case, that presence gives us a serene clarity of mind. It's not happy. Well, of course, this is a type of happiness, but it's not a superficial happiness. It's a serenity, a strength. So you feel empowered. So we have to think, how many times have I felt that? I'm going to tell you a very, very short, brief story of something that happened to me once. And I always loved all of these topics. I had out-of-body experience, but we need more than out-of-body experience only. We need a vision that put a structure in the knowledge so that we put one idea aligned with the other and everything starts making sense. And that's what we like to do. I love doing it, and I give you bits here that I try to connect ideas here together with you, or any work that we do, any research that we do at the IAC that I am part of. Like when we teach, we always try to do that. It's more than just tell a story. It's more than just have one experience. It's understanding. There is a sentence, a phrase of mine that sometimes we put in our social media that is, it's not about the astral projection. It's about what we learn from it. And that is absolute true. because many people leave the body and have experienced that they get traumatized or have experienced that they misuse, they try and manipulate others. And I have already seen things like this. So, going back, what we want is to understand how these spiritual guides or mentors can get close to us. One of the things that we have to do is give or take a step back sometimes and think if there is a different perspective of seeing some of the situations we are going through and making an effort to really put that into practice. Sometimes not easy. Sometimes you see it, you can feel it, but you have to make an effort to change within. Other times it's not so easy to do because we need to cleanse the energy field first. And there are many techniques for this. If you are here with me and you are already subscribed to the channel, you know that I love talking about the Velo technique. And I am preparing a video for you to teach you more about Velo and explain how it was developed and some of the research findings we have got by using Velo or helping people to apply Velo, people that didn't even know what energy was. It's amazing. So I'm going to bring this for you soon. And by the way, if you are hearing me here for the first time, considering subscribing. And if the video is useful, please give it a thumbs up, because that's the way YouTube recognize that video can help others and recognize this is worth content. So I need you to be able to continue doing what I do here. But my story, there was a period, I was very young, and that period when you are trying to go into an university and decide what is it that you want to do, and it's a hard phase. So I was very sad, feeling very lonely. And I remember I was lying on the floor of my little apartment, and really, I don't remember if I was crying, but I remember I was feeling desperate. I was feeling awful. I was feeling down. I was feeling lost. I think that is the word. I was feeling lost. And I kept there, and I had a book open because I was trying to read and improve my condition and studying something. And then there was, one of those tiny, tiny insects that sometimes they live like in a paper, or they can be some areas, and you sense something in your skin and you look, it's almost like nothing, and then you see there's a tiny little animal there. So then what happens is that the book was open here, my face was on the book, supported on the book, and then I saw that little animal walking. And for a fraction of a second, I got distracted from that feeling of lost desperation, of feeling I did not know what was the next step, and loneliness, frankly. But that moment that I got distracted by that little animal, immediately I sensed an energy shower, like I could receive energies from consciousness who were there present, and I was not recognizing them. In spite of other experience that I had had in which I had sensed non-physical or spiritual presences. But then I could feel it, I could connect, and I felt so much better. Of course, following day, I still had the same challenge. I mean, the practical, objective challenge, but inside of me, it was different. In that moment, I noticed the whole time this energy was here close to me, but I didn't allow it to get closer. And I was very young, maybe 19, something like this. And later on, while studying, researching, connecting with so many other people who study this area, I saw that this is exactly one of the wrong expectations we have. That is just, let me open myself, and if I deserve, someone will come and help me. Not true. We need to do our part. Not true that we just, by deserving whatever it is that is going to help us, is going to open the ways. So you imagine, okay, just as making a point here. Let's say you make all the wrong choices in life and you allow yourself to go down into any flow of energy that drags you to directions and things that are not ideal. And you expect that because you deserve, or when the time is right, someone non-physical will come, make a miracle to change you, your life, and spend a lot of energy and a lot of time to be supporting us whilst the world is in such chaos. There are too many people to be helped. There are many things to be done by these guys. You see, they are not like butlers that they will be there whenever we want. It's a joint work. Hope I'm not going to blunt, but if we want to get closer to them, we need to understand how they operate. Otherwise, we get deceived because we want to connect. We want to be part of that spiritual community that is more advanced. We want to be supported. So we may be deceived by one of those other entities that take advantage to come close to us whilst it's impossible for some of these mentors because we do not create space. We are completely out. So that's why sometimes we see people that they only change or they only start noticing about the spiritual world after a big crisis in their lives, because it's when they get a shock and they cannot get distracted anymore or go lower, and that's when the awareness comes. So it's very, very important to have this notion. Also, let me share here with you, I told you I had some images that I got from the Consciousness Development Program, but also one of the things that these guys do, I hope you can see it. I just took the slide exactly as it appeared there. This is an image that is copyright of the IEC. You see it in many places, but people are using without authorization. Here you see the guide, this non-physical presence. That is someone who have a high level of evolution, supporting a person who is here in the physical body to detach, to have an out-of-body experience. And I love this image because the way it shows the connection with the projector there, I think it's very accurate to how we sense sometimes. There we chose to show the figure of these spirit guides, full body. But you will tell me later, in a moment, if you ever had a situation in which you saw, for example, like one hand, just one hand, that you know whoever, someone, is like showing you the hand and you know that if you hold it, you will leave the body. But it's a good feeling. It's not a bad feeling. Because the feeling of trust, the feeling of love that we feel, it's not superficial. We feel. You have to trust your perceptions. You don't just go because somebody tell you, hey, come, it's nice, I'm a good one. You go because you sense it. But believe me, you will sense. Believe me. Because when we are sensing something non-physical, and especially if we are leaving the body, we are less connected with the physical brain. It's so much easier for us to observe information of the energy. But also for you to have a guide that comes and helps you leave the body like this, an advanced one like these mentors, your environment, the room, has to be relatively balanced, the energy of the room. I have a video here in which I told you how to cleanse your environment. And this is something that there are many steps. I there explained in details the first step, but that is how everything starts. If you are in doubt if your room is good, take a look there. Put this into practice. If you feel like you are not fully in control of your energy, and sometimes you have ups and downs, and you do not know who exactly is giving you an intuition, and you get ideas in your mind, you do not know who is giving you that idea, practice velo. Those are the techniques I use. Those are techniques that we have been using for almost 30 years. And I've seen the result. There are other techniques, of course, but just that I think this one is more polyvalent. It helps in so many different areas, and it gives you more awareness and more self-defense. At the same time, it lets you be open. So it's safer. Let me put it this way. It's very safe. So I feel here that I can tell you without having to worry about anything going wrong if you do velo correctly. Now, there is a short video here in the channel that explains a little bit, but I am preparing a full 3-hour explanation, step-by-step course that you can take. But it's going to be in 1 month, more or less. It's going to be live. If you want to be informed when it's available, you can perhaps just subscribe in my website, nancytrivelato.com, and I will make sure that I will inform you of this possibility. It's between 3 hours and a half, 4 hours. But everything you need to be sure that you do to be able to do velo correctly. Because this correctly is very important, because there are techniques that we can do that will help, and velo is this type of technique. Do whatever you can. If you need it, trust it will help. But how far will it go according to your needs? What sort of effects will it leave on you? How long they are going to last, these effects? 30 minutes? 30 days? Or 30 years? Or it changes you. So that is what varies here. So this is what I wanted to share with you about the spirit guides. I'm going to share another image here that I also took from the Consciousness Development Program. And what you see here is an image of an assisted projection. Assisted means in which we were assisted. A mentor got close to us, and the way we tried to represent here was by showing, again, supporting and bringing the projector, the person projected, to somewhere. But that does not mean this is always how they are going to appear. Sometimes we have more of a sensation. I'm sorry, I changed by mistake here. Sometimes this is more a sensation that we have of their presence, of what they tell us, than seeing them. So you tell me, please, if you had experience in which you saw a real spiritual mentor that you could see completely, or if you felt it. Because I had many experiences in which I felt them clearly. I could get the idea, I could almost communicate. But in a number of them, I wouldn't see them. Because many times we are outside the body, and they are in a subtler dimension, in a subtler dimensional layer than we are. So it's the same problem we have here with clairvoyance. We may sense something, but we don't see. And this also sometimes, in some types of astral projection, may happen. So those are some of the ideas that I wanted to share with you for us to be able to talk and for me to get your questions. Let me take a look here. We are good in time. Let me see if I have the questions from Laura. Okay, she's putting all the question here. How do we know when then? So we have here Schubert. Thank you. How do we know when they, the guides, are trying to contact us? Well, sometimes we don't know. This question is complex because there are too many different contexts. Sometimes if we are about to leave the body, it's one context and it's one type of answer. If we are in our day-to-day life, I have to give you a completely different answer. If we are outside the body, it's a different answer. If you are in an environment that's a little bit charged with energies not so balanced, it's also a different context and a different condition. But let me give you an idea here that probably will help whatever the context it is. These mentors or guides, they try to contact us many times or whenever we are in need, or they can support us for our growth. I used to say sometimes to my students that they are not going to come to the comedy in the movie theater to be there beside us. They have work to do. The world needs help. But if I have a very important meeting, if I am about to leave the body, if I need an out-of-body experience to learn something, or if there is a book that the idea would be that that book come to my hand, they will produce whatever is possible to them in terms of synchronicities, in terms of supporting us to leave the body, in terms of inspiring us so that we get what we need for our balance, for our development. And it's not only that they only help us if it's something very big and it has to be towards a spiritual evolution of many lives. No, sometimes it's the small things. Already many times happened to me that like I'm forgetting a commitment. I'm really forgetting. It's been 5 months I don't think of that. And it's on the minute. Or it's 1 hour earlier. And then I hear inside my mind, it's not with the ears, it's in my mind. The event is in 1 hour. And I say, goodness. Or other small things. What I'm saying is, they help whenever they can. If they can, if there is a way for them to get close, they support us. They are not going to waste time if we choose to do something different. But they will be there whenever we change our minds. Suppose we have something to do in terms of our life plan, and we are totally out of the right direction. By being totally out of the right direction, we simply do not get any possibility of the right synchronicities coming. And there may be one day, let's say 20 years later, that we got the wrong directions or whatever. We feel there's something wrong. And then we think, I'd like to change. Immediately they will be there. Because that is the moment for them to support us. To be better, more balanced inside, to be wiser. And that is what we need for evolution of every consciousness. And this planet is a sum of all the consciousness who live here. Those that seem to interfere more are the human consciousnesses. But when we pass away, consciousness people, they pass away, they continue being who they are. So what is the average level of ethics of people in our planet? I don't think it's only bad. I think we see more the bad. But sometimes it's not a matter of being good or bad. With good intention or bad intention, it's a matter of how far they see. So these guides will support us and will be there if conditions allow and if we are open. So I hope I helped, because really there's not one answer. When we are in a one talk, it's so much easier, because then I can get the full context and I can give you guys a precise answer. And sometimes a precise answer can save us 5 years of trouble later. But that's why here I try to answer very broad, so hoping that you can fit to your condition and what's going to help you most. Creative, nice to see you here. Is it true that everyone has a spirit guide assigned from birth? If so, how do they manage billions of people? How many spirit guides are there? You already answered. Because we are talking about different levels of evolution, of lucidity, awareness, and especially of ethics, personal principles, personal values that we get better, more polished, more evolved throughout lives and lives. So, is there a spirit guide assigned from birth? No. Only in cases in which the person has a very big mission, very important. So if we were, okay, those who would come here to try and stop some of the outrageous things that are happening in the world, not because of today, but because of the system. How much of support someone needs to change the system? And if there are forces, energy everywhere, sometimes a consciousness needs one of these mentors to be there. In the movie theater, yeah, I told you they wouldn't, but yes, if it's for that one person who has a very big job to do, they may, because otherwise, some energy not balanced or people with some intention may just create a trap and completely prevent the opportunity for that person to do their mission. But what is the percentage of possibility of that? Look, we do not have numbers, but from experience, from everything that I have seen inside the body, outside the body, everybody I have talked to, all the cases I have heard, very few consciousnesses would be in this condition. Few, it's really few. But in the same way, very few would be completely let to their own, because these mentors, they try to support everyone they can according to the limitations of those they are trying to support. They cannot come here and make Nancy evolve 5 lifetimes in one day. It's not possible, because there are things that I have to live, and I have to decide, and I have to feel, so that I change them inside. And that is one of the beautiful things. Evolution is something, personal evolution is something that only we can do to ourselves, no one else. So there's no one guide. Another thing that I want to add here that's much better explained in some other courses, but one thing that I would like to mention is that sometimes the mentor, that presence who is supporting us as a mentor, as a guide, they may change throughout one lifetime. Because there could be one who is supporting us for a specific task, one specific phase. But then we change what we do and we may get another one. Because comes a different one with different expertise. These are consciousnesses. They also have the areas that they have more connection with. They will have more rapport. So it comes one with a different expertise. Another thing I want to bring here for you to think about is, what about some professions? Could there be, and I say professions just to make it very short discussion. This is something that we discuss much in depth in other opportunities. But especially in the consciousness development program, if you are looking for this type of knowledge, but let me tell you what happens here. Let's say that someone will become a medical doctor, okay, who has the lives, the destiny of many people on their hand. If there is a hospital, or let's say one of those surgical centers, sorry for escaping now the name, when you are doing a surgery, Unity, Operation Unity, did I remember correct? Operation Unity. So that is something that if the doctor just gets distracted, if the doctor is with bad energy, if there is one entity who is trying to disturb and gets in there and has a lot of space and freedom to make a mess in the process that is going there during the surgery, that can be very impactful. So sometimes there are guides that they are not guiding one person. They are guiding a group, an area. So this doctor could go to the hospital and find that they have good intuitions, they have support, they have strength to do things that they even get surprised by it. Because there are spiritual mentors there supporting the doctor. But if the doctor has really bad intention, is really working only for the money, really doesn't care about the patient, and I'm sorry, but there are many like this, and really don't respect anything, it could be the case that these mentors cannot get close enough to that doctor to support them during specific treatment. So when I go to any doctor, dentist, anything, I see two things: their curriculum, where they are, and if I can afford. And I see another thing: what sort of energy is around them. So for this, I need to feel, to connect, or to see them, or to talk to them. Perhaps I won't know everything, but at least I get a feeling. Oh, this guy's nice energy around. I trust enough to trust that maybe a mentor who is trying to support me to do something and a mentor who is trying to support that hospital will be there present. But if it's a place that it's completely out of ethics and a doctor that is not, that didn't pick the right profession, let me put it this way, to be very subtle, then it may not be the case. So what I'm trying to add here is there are spiritual mentors and guides who are with the doctor or with the person because of a profession, because of a task, because of one period that they are doing something important. But if they go, that mentor will then be supporting whoever replaces them, because their task is not towards one person, but one big area. Does this make sense to you guys? Well, let me see here what you tell me. I like working with this here. I see you're telling me some of your experiences. So, thank you, Creative. Allowed me to explain many things that I consider very important. I hope you guys enjoyed these different angles. Did you? Let me know if you like it. Then I have Tui. I do not know if your name is complete here, but anyway, I had an experience this morning, and someone who looked like Voldemort tried pulling me out of my body. I was naive to think it was my guide, but I don't think it was. He was in my dreams, and I was having a night terror and woke up in fear. I had a horrible headache. Thank you for sharing. This sort of thing happens. And the good thing is that then we learn. Next time you recognize the same type of energy, you are going to think, haha, you are not going to deceive me again. Because sometimes we are outside the body and there may be some entities, spirits, people who are in between lives, that they approach us pretending to be someone else. And here you were naive, but that's natural. We trust, right? We trust, wow, if they are trying to help me get out of my body, this is always good. Yes, this is always good if we are tuned with the right idea. But, you know, I would say this experience is super positive. You learned so much from this experience. You learned how to recognize the energy, and you were having a night terror. You were in contact with something that was already very uncomfortable. And let me say something. This, what you are describing here, I hope I don't frighten any of you. But I think it's my role here to be super open, because we are sharing very important information. So what I'd like to say is that many times there are people who are projected, not fully conscious, not fully in control, and they encounter some of these consciousnesses who are so-so. They may look normal, but they give us a bad feeling. Everyone has that. Everyone. Some people are conscious, some people are not, some people think it's a dream. For us here, I assume you have already had some experience like that. So it's a nightmare that is so real, you think there's got to be something else there. It was too real. And later on in the day, you keep remembering that sensation, like the energy comes back. This happens to everyone. What you were very lucky here is that you were conscious. You saw it happening from the beginning. So you learned a lot about this. But next time, let me give you a tip. You practice how to do this velo technique. That's what I use. One day I'm going to be here telling you about a attack, psychic spiritual attack I had. I think it was about 2 years ago, which would only resemble one that I have had back there in 92. It was big, but I was very proud of myself because I did all the correct measures and I didn't get desperate in any moment. I was like, in a mission, taking care of everything. And that's wonderful. And I learned from that. And hopefully I could help someone or cleanse the place or something. But what happens here is that in many cases, like I said, when we are in connection with these consciousnesses, like in a dream or something like this, they may end up interfering with the pattern of our thought and producing all of these. So what you should do, which is what I did, and I told this in one of my videos, do a velo and trust you will be able to, because it's easier to do a velo outside the body than inside the body. But you have to trust, you have to practice, you have to know, so that in that moment you think, I'm gonna do it. Bah, your decision is what counts. When you are inside the body and when you are outside, same. I would say it's even easier there. So don't feel scared. Learn with the experience and do your velo. Even if you are out there, you are going to poof, disappear from that place or in front of those people, go somewhere else, return to your body. That is easy. But don't worry. This happens to so many people. Mohier, hello. Nice to see you here. You are saying, I feel regularly waves of superior energy. Very marvelous to feel. I do not know how or what it is. Wonderful. How or what it is. Let me mention this to you. There are different things that can be happening there. Both are super, super positive. It's so wonderful that you share this experience. One of them is that some sort of presence, these positive beings could be there, they connect with you and you feel a flow. Normally, when you feel sensations as objective, as you tell me here, you feel its waves, it produces a reaction that is, it's very objective. Normally, it's what we call an energetic shower, as if it's coming from outside, coming from a source. In this case here, we are trusting it's a spirit guide, but sometimes you can even have an energetic shower from a place in nature or from connecting with some extra physical environment that, astral environment that you had already been in. And then all of those energies come. So it produces a shower. Sometimes we even have a little shiver. That's nice. But there's another thing that I just feel for whatever reason that it's more probable in this case here, maybe by the way you describe it, or for other questions you had mentioned before. See if that makes sense. The other condition that happens that we feel this is when we are balanced, our chakras are balanced, we are in a good phase of life, especially if we are in control of our energies. In control, I do not mean we have to be aware, we have to be doing things. We are balanced enough to be connected. Many people who do velo get to this point I'm saying here. I do not know if you practice velo sometimes, but if you do well done, you definitely get to this point because the energies get loosen up inside. They flow. And then sometimes we have a type of a redistribution of the energies inside of our bodies. So it's a sensation similar to that shower, but it's a sensation that is produced by our own energy because they redistribute. So let me suggest something to you. See, please, Mohier, if you, I hope I pronounce your name correct. Correct me if I don't. Put me there how I should say. But what you can try is trying to produce this at will. So you decide to concentrate on your energies either right after doing velo or at some moment, blum. So if you manage and the sensation is the same, so we know it's the second option. It could be a blend of both. Also, I am answering this because you are saying I feel regularly, so I am understanding you feel throughout the day in many different conditions. If you feel when you are relaxed, when you are going to sleep or something like this, I'd say this is a precursory sensation of the detachment from the body. Because if we detach just a tiny bit, it can already bring sensations like this. So now 3 options for you to examine. Good? Yes, hope so. Nagi Vahidil, nice to see you here again. You say, I have seen myself as a mentor, maybe my higher consciousness, holding the hand of my own non-physical body in an astral projection. Hard to answer this because, of course, many times we can have like a symbolic image of us perceiving ourselves in the body of someone else. Or it can be something that it's like neurological, but in a sense that, you know, when we look at the clouds and we start seeing figures, our brain naturally, we have to fight against it actually. It's not that we have to produce it. The brain naturally tries to put some image there. So let's say you saw something that could have created this impression when you come back. Is it possible that it was actually you? It is, because different phenomena can happen. Sometimes we can be inside the body. It's very rare phenomena, but I am here to address even the rare phenomenon. But sometimes the person is inside the body or outside projected. And there is a very great displacement, release of the energy body. So it's almost as if so much energies get here that we see a double, looking like the person. There are some situations in history that describes this and were studied about this, so that is a possibility. So analyze this. All of the cases, and I do not know how your experience was, all of the cases in which I read about this, because I tried to examine, never happened to me, but I tried to examine many cases in books. When I read and I go to analyze the details, what I observe is that many people, they are getting an intuition from that being that they assume it's them, but they're getting an intuition or an information that was not on them. It's a different consciousness. So it's a way of explaining. The first book that I ever read that started teaching me about the spirit world, it was a long time ago. The person had this type of definition. But that would puzzle me. I say, how can she be there asking a question to herself and herself is answering to herself? And she is, for me, sometimes it's a little bit like I do not know your religion, guys, and I'm not an expert on this, but I was raised in a Christian religion. So, never went much to church, but let's say that's what I learned. So you say that the Father is the Son that is at the same time a spirit that is anywhere, and they talk to each other and they are the same and they are different. To me, that's very hard to understand. I'm not, therefore, what I'm saying here is, I cannot answer this in a way that I can tell you yes or no. I brought to you some of the ideas that I have come to have based on experiences and cases that I had and seen others. Is that okay? Hope at least it gives you some ideas. PM Bella, or PM, and she is calling me Bella, maybe? This second question relates to my first. My mom evacuated from hurricane, and I was doing velo, and I called her. She said I was in her hotel room with another person. I visit her many without memories. Perhaps it was interrupted. You visit her many times without remembering it. It's totally possible that she sensed your presence. It's totally possible that you had an out-of-body experience. It's possible that your energies were so strong that she felt so much your presence, your support, even you without having that intention. That's one of the beautiful things about mentors, spiritual mentors. They may use us in a good sense, use our energies, use the connection we have with other people to support them. Because those are the tools they have. So you are there, positive, your energies are loose, and they may have got some of your energies to be there to support or to help her in any case. It's possible. During sleep paralysis, this is KA. Hi, KA. During sleep paralysis, I saw my legs levitating and my arms were out of my body. In silver gray color, nice. But something was blocking my chest to get up. Please explain. Most probably some sort of accumulation of energy, some sort of energy blockage. That's what's the most common in this case. But also what happens sometimes in this case is that we may be a little bit with some apprehension. Were you? No? Because if you were completely relaxed, ready to get out, but you felt this was still stuck inside the body, and therefore we interpret like something heavy. It's not a bad feeling, it's just a heaviness, right? It's not coming any sort of a threatening sensation. It's just heavy and you couldn't go further. This is super typical in the conscious disconnection from the body. So it's one chakra that is not as loose as the other ones, and therefore it takes longer to detach. My suggestion in a moment like this is, don't interfere much. Be quiet. Wait and think, I'm waiting, that is okay. And keep playing with your hands, because there are some techniques that we teach to leave the body that they are based on sensing the part that is out of the body and moving it, playing with it. Because by doing that, we reinforce our rapport with the non-physical astral body and with the astral dimension. So that is a tip for all of you that you may want it, may be interested. Okay, guys, I think that's what we have time for. Laura is here telling me, Nancy, you have another. I scheduled 2 lives in one day. It's a bit crazy, right? But takes me time to arrange the equipment, so I prefer doing it. Let me see if you have questions specifically about mentors. I see here many questions that they are not exactly about mentors, and I would like very much to focus. Cat Williams, I have spontaneous OBEs. Can I help a friend of mine live on OBE if I find myself in an OBE? Can I think of her and try to pull her out of the body? Or can only spirit guides do that? Thank you for a very clear question. You can do it, absolutely. You are with the right energies, you are with the right intention, you are lucid, you know what you are doing. There are a few things, I'm going to give you tips there, okay? Better if she knows, because she'll be prepared. Being prepared means she's not going to get surprised, because some people have already tried this sort of thing. But the projector who is getting out of the body or who meets someone else is not very lucid, or were not very lucid in those cases that I am now remembering that I have examined. And therefore, the person who was being helped gets scared. Oh, who are you? And even do not recognize the person. So you must be prepared for this sort of situation, what you are going to do, how you are going to help her. Will you hold and pull her out? Will you send energies? Will you call her name? Will she notice? Will she be surprised? Will she be afraid? Will she recognize you? Will she be lucid when you get her out of the body? Because maybe she is not, and then she acts in ways that doesn't make sense to the situation. So many different possibilities, but absolutely yes, this can be done. I like the question. Thank you. And then, oops, I think that was the last one, or Laura got me here because Nancy, you are late for the other. I'm not late. Just having a short break in between. But that's it. That's all I see here about spirit guides. Let me thank you. Yes. So let me thank you and let me mention a few things to you. If you want to get the course, the information about the course that I will be publishing 3 weeks, 4 weeks, about how to do velo. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to get the information from my book. My book is a technical book because I try to establish some basis for the science, but it also teaches everything you need to know about velo. Here I explain whys. I show the research behind and what is the reasoning that bring some concepts to mind or why velo is established as is. By the way, the name velo was coined by myself in this book. Not in this book, was before, because I presented in a conference, in a scientific conference, the research that I put here. But what happens is that here, it's long, it's many details, because I did to be with lots of details. The terminology is a little bit dense, not difficult, if you are not afraid of the challenge of finding a few words that you are going to have to get used to. It's no big problem, I always explain and define everything. But you need to digest a lot and pull what is the most important thing from the reading. What I am doing in this course is that I put attention on what's the experience of people, what are their most common questions, their difficulties, and I create a guide that goes from beginning and what you have to do, what you cannot miss, each sensation, what it means, if you don't feel what to do, and blah, blah, so that I know. If one of you take that course, you know how to do velo. You may be lazy, you may not practice, but you know how if you follow what's in there. So that's it. So remember, please, if you are interested, go subscribe there in my website, because I will get the detail from there to inform you. So nancytrevelato.com, very easy. And also, I would like to invite you, if you are interested, for us to have a live talk about one of the topics that I have mentioned here, which was not so much explored because it was not the topic of the day, or any other topic that you would like to see me comment about. When this video ends, you can leave it on the comments. As I told you, I'm going to leave it here for a short period of time, and then I'm going to unpublish it and place an edited version. But I'll try and edit it first. So if you leave in the comments, I'll take note. Or if you wait for 2-3 days, then you will have the version that hopefully will be easier and nicer to watch. And look forward to our next talk. I will definitely try to schedule as soon as possible. I will be traveling to United States soon, which is my residence. I am locked in the campus, which is wonderful, in the IC campus. But I will be seeing you and talking to you, even if it's not from here.